Welcome back, Andy Jabor. You are sunned, you are tanned, you are relaxed, you look in a better space. How was your time away from me, Andy? More important. How was your time away
Yeah,
from me?
I missed the podcast Monday, but I enjoyed everything you covered from haircuts to draft pick busts to hey since then. I mean, the Cowboys have signed Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, there's been some big news for the Cowboys. That gave me chuckles for a whole day. So I mean, it's been a good couple of days. And Dave, I gotta tell you, I love driving. I mean, the American open road, it's just such an experience. I feel bad for there's a generation of kids now that aren't like driving enthusiasts. Driving is awesome. Like it is just such a great fun. It's such a free thing to do, so enjoyable. Given there's a lot of people on the road that shouldn't be there. We can get into that later, Dave. But I'm doing well, thank you. How are you? How are you on this Wednesday, Dave? How are you on this May Day, 2024?
Yeah, May Day. It's the International Workers' Day, isn't it? And in Europe, you'd be dancing around the maypole or something. I think it'd be a fun thing. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, Andy. So I don't know, but I want to make this all about Andy Jabor today. I feel glad to have my partner in crime back in the saddle here. We're gonna go in again the Dave Pounder ticket route. I would say let's start off, Andy. How do you feel about the draft? How do you feel about the Lions draft? As best as you can.
Dave, I'll keep it. It was excellent. It was excellent. The Lions drafted, got a cornerback they didn't think they were going to be able to get. Got him in the first round. Went back another cornerback in the second round. A guy that many thought might end up being our first round draft pick. Got him in the second. So huge wins there. And the whole draft was secondary and trenches. Perfect, right? The guys were O linemen, D linemen. There was one running back taken, but he's listed as a running back slash safety, and I think he was probably drafted to play safety, right? To bolster that. So an excellent draft. When you're just filling the line and this into defense, which is our biggest weekend. The secondary is the biggest weakness for the Lions. Like the Lions are in a good place. They don't need the flash players. We've got those guys. We've got the superstars. We've got the quarterback. Big signings right before the draft. With two of their biggest players. A very good draft for the Detroit Lions for Dave, the 2024 Super Bowl run. So hats off to Brad Holmes. Congratulations to One Pride. The Lions are ready to go, Dave. Exciting times.
Yeah, that is exciting. I mean, I think by all accounts they did have a pretty good draft. So you're gonna have a good year. That division is going to be really tough. I
Yeah.
mean, it's going to be the Lions are obviously the repeat trying to repeat. The Green Bay Packers, for all intents and purposes, could have been in the NFC Championship game last year, except they kind of had that brain farts with San Francisco. Then you have a much improved Chicago with a really good draft on their end as well. And then of course you have Minnesota who played, pretty well, and they've got JJ McCarthy. So we'll see where that goes. So okay, good on that. Any other NFL thoughts here, Andy?
Just one thing I realized this weekend is as the Washington Capitals got eliminated from the playoffs, as the Lakers get eliminated from the playoffs, I realized just how much I've become a singular sport guy as I get older. Like I just don't care. Like I just can't be bothered to care about the NHL playoffs because I think it's kind of a team to root for. I mean, the Caps, like I said, I don't cheer for DC teams. They're not Virginia. I don't have a long distance team like I fell in love with the Lions, when I was in middle school and high school. I don't have that. So I just can't get excited about these like major sporting events. I mean, I was more interested in the NCAA's men's and women's than I am in the current NBA and NHL playoffs. I just realized I've really become a one sport guy, Dave. I love the NFL, and that's simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, NFL's it's hard to beat. I mean, they were talking about some of the numbers for the NFL draft. One, the Detroit showed up, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh yeah, it's
it
huge.
was the highest crowd ever over the draft weekend on TV. Round one, I think they said had 5 million people watching round one, which was more than all the other major sporting events. I mean, like the NFL sorry, Major League Baseball and NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
And even the last day drew like day three, which is rounds what 5, 6, and 7. I mean, that had a huge following as well. So like I think it just really speaks to how the NFL they have marketed the hell out of this league, and it is a 24/7 365 league. And I know the other leagues aspire to do that, keep it in the news all the time, but the NFL truly does it because next thing you got coming up is free agent, the all the other stuff coming through with the training camps, mini
Yeah.
camps, and all this other stuff going. The next thing you know, it's going to be July, and we're talking about preseason football. There was one thing that brought up, Andy. Are you in favor of this? The commissioner had mentioned getting rid of one of the preseason games and adding an 18th game with and extending the season so that the Super Bowl is played on President's Day weekend, so that Monday you would have off. Then it'd be almost like a football holiday instead of we know how you feel about George Washington's birthday.
That's right.
Sorry,
Yeah, that's
that's
right.
George Washington's birthday. We know how you feel about that already. What if it was overtaken by Super Bowl Monday? I mean, or Super Bowl come down day or something. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, I mean, getting rid of the preseason game is tricky because, I mean, one, preseason games suck. Like everybody knows this. But is there something to teams getting that time to evaluate their rosters and make some key decisions? I defer to the coaches and the GMs on that, but I think there is some value in that. So I worry if that takes away some of the critical decision making they need to make. But I mean, if you're playing a week of football, it's a demanding week for the players to go one more season of full contact. That's tough, right? I mean, the NFL takes demand on their bodies. So if they can handle it, I'm all for it. And to align it with the George Washington holiday, I mean, hey, one, it should be a holiday the day after Super Bowl because everybody's watching, everybody's tired. Two, what's more American than celebrating the NFL, the world's greatest game on Sunday, and then enjoying a celebration of America and Virginia's first son, George Washington, the following day. So I don't trust Roger Goodell to celebrate as Washington's birthday. He'll mix it up and call it President's Day as many do. But I think it's not a bad idea, to be honest with you. I think it's kind of a cool alignment of things.
All right. Well, that's good. We got your support then. All right. So let's more about this pod of Andy. Let's talk about your road trip down. As I mentioned, you're a little bronzed in the face today, but you also said you also have another unique type of tan, Andy. So, can you explain this tan?
So, Dave, I love driving. It's been a great pleasure to drive. It's fun to do. It's a nice way to disconnect from everything. And when you drive, you want to be as comfortable as you enjoy. So the music's up, I can have the windows down, the top down. Like I enjoy that as much as I possibly can. But it comes at a cost, Dave. As I'm driving along, enjoying myself. When it gets warm and beautiful out, and you take that shirt off, and you're just enjoying the drive, you get the seatbelt tan. And Dave, as good as you feel about yourself, when you see yourself with a big white stripe down your chest, as much as I love the white stripes, it's not a cool look. It's not a cool look. And so I'm celebrating right now the glory of my diagonal white stripe coming down my chest. It's not my finest moment, to be honest with you, but it's a badge of honor because it celebrates the freedom of the road. It celebrates the independence of driving. It's just such a fun experience. So despite many frustrations on the road with America's worst drivers, it's been a really fun experience. And I'll take the seatbelt tan. If that's the cost, Dave, I'm willing to take that cost. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do it.
You got to live by you got to stand with your principles, Andy.
Yeah.
Stand with. What's the worst part of that drive going from 95? It's effectively 95 down to I-4, right? So you're going down to Orlando from the DC area. So you hop on 95. You got the Quantico shit show, that whole area. You get through Richmond, and then it's pretty easy sailing. But then the roads constrict in South Carolina, and then so what's your worst part of that drive, Andy?
Yeah, so this time around, I'll say it's been surprisingly good, except for some construction in South Carolina. It's been surprisingly good, minimal like major traffic issues. Even the Quantico, choke point of hell that it is wasn't so bad coming down. I'll probably eat that today. Today will probably be pretty rough, but it's been a really easy drive, to be honest with you. Just the drivers themselves. Most drivers are fine. Most drivers understand the rules of the road. Most people do just a fine job. But then you've got those exceptions. We've talked about this before. And I posted about this, Dave, because I was so frustrated. It comes down to a couple things, right? One, use your fucking turn signal. Like it's right there. Your hand's already on the wheel. It's just begging for you to touch it and love it. Just click, 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 click. It's so easy. But people struggle so hard as though you know what they're going to be doing next. And you should anticipate they're darting in and out of the lane in front of you. Or like just use your turn signal. That's one of the two worst things. The other is the left lane jackasses who want to just cruise, 3 miles below the speed limit, maybe a mile above the speed limit. They've got a mile of open road in front of them, and they've got a mile of backlog traffic behind them, and they're completely oblivious to it. And they're just cruising along, making frustration for everybody, and causing many of those people to dart in and out of those lanes without using their traffic light, without using their turn signal, causing chaos behind them. And Dave, the worst is when you've got, Big Joe in his big pickup truck with some massive trailer on the back, knowing he can't go 80 miles an hour, just chilling in the left lane, blocking up traffic, refusing to get out of the way. And if there's miles of cars backlogged behind Big Joe and there's nothing in front of him and he refuses to get out of the way. And Dave, look, I don't give people the finger. There was a time in life when I was younger where I'd flick people off all the time because they deserved it, they begged for it. I don't do that anymore. But mentally, like, fuck that guy. Like I'm cursing him for a good a good couple minutes. I'm just just what are you doing, man? Like what are you like? What do you not know that you're screwing up everybody else, or do you just not care? Either way, like beat yourself. Like beat yourself silly. You're an ass. It drives me nuts. So those two things, Dave, more than any part of the road, the trip itself, just those two things. I mean, I'll come back to that point in a bit, but you might want to go somewhere else before I do. So yeah, that was the hardest part, Dave. That was the hardest part.
No, I think that we've talked about this before. This is why I appreciate the Autobahn in Germany. They know the rules of the road. The Germans follow the rules.
Yeah,
Right? Hey, look, get in the left lane to pass and then get over again. I mean, you don't need to stay in that lane forever. What it is people like, oh, I can make it one more car. I can make it one more car, and I can pass out one more. No, hey, buddy, you're stalling off traffic here, and it does drive me crazy as well. All right, so that's a good. I when I used to do that drive often, I enjoyed going through Georgia and Florida because it was 3 lanes and
yeah.
you had a lot of mobility there. Even though Georgia, you had to be tricky with the speed traps. Sometimes those cops were tricky guys in there. The South Carolina just drove me crazy because it went down to 2 lanes and for no reason. There was no reason it shouldn't have been 3 lanes all the way through.
Yeah.
Plus, the roads are a little crappy. So,
They're
all right.
paving them though, Dave. They're starting to pave them properly. That's one thing. South
Oh,
Carolina
okay.
roads were like they sucked, right? The roads were not good roads, but they're starting to actually pave them. Nice black ball roads,
There
much
you
smoother.
go. Okay.
Yeah, so good job, Cox. Glad to
All
see
right.
it.
That's right. Go Cox, right? All right. As I'm wearing my South Carolina shirt today.
Nice, nice.
There you go. So, okay, Andy, other great, big, exciting news on your front. You got some results back.
I
You want to share
did.
about those?
Yeah, I did. So yeah, as you and those that have been listening along with us know, I've been going through my cancer treatment for the last 6 months or so, a year-long journey of we'll say fun. We'll just use that word. But Wednesday last week I got scanned, and Friday I got some really great news. Is everything is clear. So a complete response to treatment is the way it was defined, and there's no observable evidence of the cancer. It was everywhere between my chin and my butt, and it was all over the place. And the chemo did a great job, and everything looks clear. And you don't get a green light that cancer is defeated. You never get that. It's kind of like I explained this to my wife. It was kind of like when you deploy, and you've got to clean every item before it goes back to the U.S. Right? You've got to miserably wipe down every grain of sand from every piece of equipment and get it inspected because you can't have any sand go back to the U.S. And even through that process, there's like sometimes still a grain or two that sneak in. You just can't completely polish everything the way you need. It's the same thing with cancer. You can never completely get a green light that you've defeated it, but it's in a healthy place of remission where it's not a threat concern today. So I'll continue a type of treatment for a couple more years and stay on top of it just to make sure that we keep it in check, and hopefully it's not an issue that comes back. But really exciting news. It's nice to get that blessing. It's nice to not be staring at chemo
Right now that was a tiring process. And so, yeah, very exciting news. A great way to end the month of April. A great way to start the summer here is pretty soon. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, well, we're very excited too, Andy, and I think that's great news. We're very happy for you and your family. And I think and we appreciate you sharing that with all of us here on the podcast and stuff to just make sure that we're keeping up with everything. And I know it's a lifelong thing that will continue. And just as a reminder for kind of everybody is get yourself checked. I mean, if do self-care, self-prevention. I need to do that myself. I have to schedule a colonoscopy here and just make sure I'm doing the right things on that part. But it's tough because I mean all the best medicine doesn't always work out, and I think that for a lot of people they face challenging things. I think I shared my mom passed away 10 years this year. From her own battle with cancer, and to your point, fuck cancer, right? And so it is tough, but we're very excited, Andy. That's great news. And look, nobody wants to hear Dave on a podcast solo. So, I mean, for the audience, I think it's just better if we have that all together. So, congratulations, Andy. It's definitely worth celebrating. So,
Yeah, thanks. I enjoyed the Monday solo pod, but yeah, it is worth celebrating. Dave, can I just pivot back between driving and cancer a little bit for a
yeah,
moment?
yeah.
You folks. So, one, as I mentioned, I posted about my road frustration. Just want to acknowledge our friend Simon from Germany, always supporting the podcast, always chiming in. He said things aren't as glorious in Germany as they maybe were on the German roads, but always appreciate Simon's encouragement and support on on this podcast. So thanks, Simon, and I do look forward to enjoying some Wiener Schnitzel eventually at one day. That'll be so good. But also acknowledge just two other people. One, you talk about cancer treatment. Another Threads friend that commented on my post about driving, and he said he'd like to just drive and throw tomatoes at some of the bad drivers. I want to acknowledge Joe Mainwaring. And Joe, if I didn't say your last name right, forgive me, but talk about warriors, Dave. I had 12 chemo treatments, right? 6 months I endured that stuff, and it wasn't the worst thing in the universe, but it sure as hell isn't fun. Joe has been dealing with stage 4 colon cancer since 2021. If he hasn't gotten to 60 yet, he's right around there, 60 treatments of chemo and other treatments to fight this thing. He's in there fighting every day, man. And he's had some adverse reactions, he's had some complications, and he's just continuing on. He's launched a website, Cancer Culture, just some clothing folks can buy, sort of celebrating the fight against cancer. And just such a trooper. I'm humbled when I think about how miserable I felt on some days and how much whining my wife had to endure as I complained about the way I felt and my lack of energy and my mouth is funny and whatever else I was crying about. Joe's done 5 times what I've done over a much longer period of time. Just hats off to Joe for that. At the same time, Dave, just last one, I want to acknowledge we've talked many times about the the pump club community and their great support and celebration of one another. And a friend there, Pierre Luc, one of our Canadian friends, recently was diagnosed with cancer, shared that in the pump club community. And just the way the community celebrated him and surrounded him, and he and I have connected directly, so to just be able to talk and share some things, and just seeing people support one another, Dave, the way you and others have supported me, to see Pierre Luc get that encouragement from the pump club and others, like that is just so great to see. So as I celebrate, my good news, as Pierre starts his journey to fight cancer, as Joe continues his journey to fight cancer, just how important it is to celebrate those that are in the fight, doing their best to kick this thing in the nuts and get better. I love to see the support, the community support. So thanks to them for being friends of the podcast, and our best wishes to them as they continue their fight.
Yeah, for sure. I echo all that, Andy. I think I think one of the things that I love about the Pump Club, as we've said, and I think what we try to want to do here too, is promote positivity when you're not a stupid politician. We
Yeah.
want to promote positivity, and really encourage others to do the right things and kind of have fun with their life and not give it too much of a not weighed down by some of the stuff that's just stupid out there, right? So yeah, kudos to all the support out there, and if we can support you in any other way, let us know. But we appreciate you listening, and we're wishing everyone the best as they go through their own fights, right?
Yeah.
So all good. Any other thoughts there, and let's wrap up on two quick little. Speaking of dumb politicians,
Dave,
so
let me just throw one more thing out there. One other glorious moment on my road trip, as I was driving, I did pass a Cybertruck, and
oh,
and let me tell you, Dave, the incel Camino, as we've called it, I've got to tell you, like no bias, just honest observation. I was driving, I saw it as I was passing it. It was in the middle lane. I was driving by, and I looked, and I gave it a double take, and I was like, that thing is fucking horrendous. Like I said, it is ridiculous, awful looking vehicle. I mean, it's so ugly. It looks terrible. Like I was like, you spent a lot of money for that piece of shit. I hope you're enjoying it. It looks awful. I mean, here I was, tops down. I'm singing along to some rock and roll. I've got my shirt off. I'm having a great time. And I just look over and I'm like, that looks awful. So listen, if you're a Tesla enthusiast, I'm sorry. I know I tease you guys a lot. If you're a Cybertruck fan, power to you. But Dave, I've got to say, it just looks I honestly think it's a joke. I honestly think it's a big joke. Like, can we actually get people to buy this piece of crap and enjoy it? And it's terrible. I mean, it looks terrible. I honestly hate that vehicle.
you make me wonder now. You brought that up there, Andy. Is you remember like the show The Producers? It was going to be so like the premise of the show is we're going to make something so bad it's going to fail and we're going to make so much money, right? I
Yeah,
mean that's the premise of it. But yet it's good. But yet people loved it. They thought it was great. Springtime with Hitler, right? I mean, how stupid of a thing is
yeah,
that? But
yeah.
yet, of course, it did great. So great show, Producers. It's great if you go to Broadway and watch it. I don't know if it's still running, but even better, even great on the TV show, on the movie screen. Anyways, Andy, maybe that's the thing is like we're gonna make something so bad nobody will want to buy it. But then, hey, look, everybody, if you're thinking about buying a Tesla, just write a check like a Cybertruck. Write a check to me and Andy. We'll gladly take your money from you and kick you in the balls, right? I mean, we can gladly do that for you, because that's what driving around in one of these things has got to feel like. I mean, do you think it's maybe it's cool? Is it a status of how rich you are? I don't know, but it is stupid. Andy, finally, I did want to just say though, did you get to Bucky's or no? Or did you fail me again?
So here's the deal, Dave. So
Oh, here we go.
I came
Excuses.
down. No. I've got. So driving south, I fully intend to hit the one in Jacksonville, and I was driving. I saw the sign. It's like, hey, 59 miles to Bucky's, and I was like, all right, I can hold my brake. I'm pushing through. I'm driving along. I'm going. I'm like, I'm gonna get to Bucky's. I'm gonna get to Bucky's, and then I'm driving, and all of a sudden I see a sign. It's like 50 miles to Bucky's. And I was like, what? Did I hit a wormhole? What happened here? Did I lose space time? Like I don't know what happened, but I was like, I cannot wait anymore. I've got to unload the bladder. So I stopped. Couldn't do it on the way down. I still don't know what happened. I don't know. Black hole, wormhole, something happened.
I'll tell you what happened, Andy. But you go ahead. Go
But
ahead.
but as I sit here today in beautiful Florence, South Carolina, Dave, there's a Bucky just several miles up the road. I've got half a tank of gas and I've got to eat breakfast. So my intention today, Dave, is once we finish this podcast, I'm driving north. I'm hitting the Bucky's. I'm topping off. Maybe I'll even get one of those fruity pebble bars that you've boasted about so long. But today's the day, Dave, and I will get
Okay.
that photograph for you. If I don't make it, I'll be eating crap on Friday. But it's my intention. Today is May Day celebration. You, me, Bucky's, it's all coming together.
All right, there we go. I'll hold you to it. I'll tell you what happened there, Andy, is what happens is there's a Bucky's in St. Augustine. So
Yeah.
you're seeing that 59 miles to Bucky's, because again, you can't miss it. The problem is like right when you get to near where Bucky's is, if you blink, you'll miss it.
Yeah.
Like that's how crazy it is. And then you see the next sign 50 miles to Bucky's. That's because it's outside of Daytona. So that's the next. So that you did enter a time warp, Andy. You absolutely did. And
Yeah.
so or a black hole or whatever you call it, because it is weird where they put the Bucky's at a World Golf Village and they have this nice community there, King and Bear or whatnot. But the Bucky's is there and there's a Costco there. But if you don't get off right at the right part, you miss it. And so then you go down to have to go to Daytona.
In the dark in South Carolina.
My God.
It's a beautiful state. With the exception of those fucking Confederate flags at dot 95 as you drive up and down. I think it's Sons of the I don't know who it was. Sons of bitches, I think is who it is. But there's a few Confederate flags you got to stare at as you drive up and down 95, which pisses me off. But with the exception of that, like South Carolina, and there's a spot that smells like absolute ass. But besides that, like South Carolina is a beautiful state, a beautiful
I
state.
love I love South Carolina, and I love North Carolina. I think even more. I love both those states. You bring out the Confederate flag, Andy. When I was driving up to Lynchburg to watch Virginia Tech play in their tournament last weekend, there was similar on the side of it's not it wasn't an interstate, but it was one of those very good state roads, 4-lane high roads or whatever. Another person, a huge Confederate flag waving there, and I was going to go. I had a rant fully prepared for Monday, but I did get into the NFL a little bit more than normal. But I had a rant prepared for Monday about the Confederate flag, and just like that's you just being a fuck, right?
Yeah.
That's you just saying, "Hey, I know that look, that conversion of the Confederate flag, to where it's just all the stars and bars are where there. I mean, that isn't even the official flag. And look, it's nobody shitting on your heritage, because that was a flag created for the fucking Civil War. You lost, fucking foil, pull it all together. I had a huge rant, Andy, and I'm kind of ranting here, but yeah, I'm with
You're
you.
right. You're right. I mean, look, this is a whole rant. We could do a whole episode on this, but some of the same people that are bitching about, oh, they're playing a celebration of Black America at the Super Bowl. This Black national anthem is disgusting. There's not two Americas. We'll fly the Confederate flag at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck off, douchebag. Fuck. And don't give me your just the whole thing. There's so many places to go with this. It was a war for independence, states' rights. Fuck off, right?
Yeah.
Just fuck off with it. I love states' rights. I love the independence of our country. The Confederacy was not that. It's lost. That was a two-part America, and the Confederacy lost. The South lost. Raise the American flag. Take down that fucking Confederate flag. That blemish aside, what a beautiful state to drive through. But again, that carries through, Dave, into Virginia, down to Florida. I mean, it's everywhere. It's disgusting. It's shameful. It's sad to see. You're right to be a douchebag. That's one thing America lets you do. You have a right to complete utter douchebaggery, and we see that. Dave, I'm sorry. I know you want to get into other things here now.
Well, I don't think we have time, Andy. The other things I want to get into, we just don't have time, because that's going to take us on a whole other rant or something. Just just one last thing on the Confederate flag thing is like, yeah, you have the right to put it up there, but please dismiss the whole. It's my heritage, it's my culture. No, your heritage is about the great customs and traditions and family and community that the South has. You should be celebrating that, not the fucking flag. Celebrate the good nature. I love the people of North Carolina, and I love the people of South Carolina. I mean, every experience I've had has been great and positive, because they represent what the South is, not that fucking flag. And please just get rid of it. And so as I see somebody getting ready to firebomb my house. Sorry, probably here. So, anyways, Andy, I think we probably that's probably a good place to wrap on this fine day today. Didn't mean to go off on those rants, but there you have it. So
There you go.
all right, Andy, again, celebration of you today. We're super excited about the positive test results. We want to continue to be that support for those out there as well. If we can provide any positivity through this podcast, even though we were pretty negative in the last 5 minutes, but if we can provide some positivity in this podcast, we'd love to do it. Andy, I do have some politics that we want to get into for next time, especially some of these protests that are going on, and more shenanigans from our QBH. QBH. She's at it again. So, Andy, with that, I will catch up with you next time.